All right, welcome to Zoomer or Zoom reactions, depending on how you interpret the title. A new segment. We're just gonna be kind of shooting the shit, talking sports. Little known fact: we actually started this whole thing because a guy at Starbucks told us that we should start a podcast. Is that true, Dylan?
Yeah, you guys can all blame that one dude for hyping us up and making us think that we could be entertaining.
Yeah, that's why I had to face a double take post on Instagram every day. Well, anyways, we're gonna start off with a topic close to our hearts. Well, not really existent anymore. These hopes, but the Celtics, man, what happened? What happened to this team? It seemed like this is our year in the way that the stars kind of aligned in a way that we just have to get past the Heat, and the East is going to be so much more contested next year with KD and Kyrie and whatnot. What do you think's our problem? Like what went wrong here?
This is our third conference finals in 4 years. So everyone that's on like the Brad Stevens needs to go train, I don't agree with. But this was the first time we actually had a shot because we didn't have to go through LeBron to get to the finals. And like we not only did that, we didn't have to play the 1 seed. We didn't have to play the Bucks. We had to play the freaking Heat, and we couldn't get it done. We should have won game 1, the one where Bam blocked Jason Tatum. That's gonna like scar me for the rest of my life. And then I'll just go straight to game 6. I needed more Enes Kanter minutes. I needed more. In game 5, they won. We had Kanter and Grant Williams, or Tyson Grant Williams, on the floor a lot. We actually grabbed some rebounds and played some defense, and 3 scorers on the floor was enough. When we went small and we tried to just throw Grant or Tice on Bam, they killed us.
Wait, so I'm confused because Brad. Here's the thing: I'm not on the Brad like we need to fire Brad train. But I was definitely disappointed with him this series. I don't know because you're completely right. I think it was game 3 he went to Ennis. He started Ennis Kanter because he was like starting a different center like every game for a second there. And when that Kanter game, we out rebounded them, we out hustled them. It looked like that kind of made sense for this team, and we completely just went away from it. I think the next game he started Rob Will. It was kind of confusing.
You know, at the end of last game when Bam started like taking it up the floor and like just dancing around at the 3-point line and charging in, Kanter couldn't have guarded that. So I understand like you have to throw Grant Williams in there, but like that's not a lot of guys in the league that can guard that. I think if we played Kanter more, we would have forced them to play to our style, where like we have a big man, a presence inside. When we only have shooters on the floor and they're playing a zone defense, it's all jump shots, and we missed all the jump shots.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. So, not to look too far ahead, but if Daniel Tice is on this team next year, I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to be very upset. The fact that Tice was our best option at center, and I know a lot of Celtics fans are in denial because he's the best we got. Just because he's the best we got doesn't mean he's good. And
no, I agree. I've always agree with that. He's bad.
It's a glaring problem with this team, the center position. But aside from that, I think that Brad's decision-making in this series, I feel like he ended every game with 2 timeouts in his pocket. It didn't seem like that he had the wherewithal in that moment to realize when things were kind of slipping and people were playing hero ball that he needed to recenter this team. Eric Spoelstra was the kind of guy to call a timeout when they're up by 3 points. Mm-hmm. When they start to take the lead, he calls a timeout just to recenter them and to get them to, okay, let's remember, how we have to buy into this system and whatnot. I saw none of that from Brad. It just kind of seemed like he was paralyzed and in shock, like it was World War I. He was in the trenches, this shell shock, didn't know what was going on.
Brad was out there, like Brad was just like, I'm gonna throw in Rob Williams, Tice, Grant Williams, just like who can get a stop, who can get a rebound, and it was none of them. It was only when we had a center and a power forward, which like we've gone away from. We've gone to all wings, we've gone to positionless basketball, but when they are out rebounding us and out like defending us, a center and a power forward went a huge way in game 5 to get us a win. And last night, I think it would have worked in hindsight, but in the moment, those last 5 minutes of the game, we just felt we missed like 20 jump shots. They went on a huge run.
We had the lead with like 3-4 minutes left to go.
He put his best guys out there. Like you have to put like our death lineup out there. And
yeah, of course. But I think that here's the thing about Brad. All right, I don't think he has the control. I don't think he has control over this team. I think that when we start to play hero ball, we're not moving the ball around. Dude, the Heat, they move the ball like the Spurs do. Everyone eats. They don't really seem to care. Jimmy Butler doesn't care if he scores 20 points a game. Even Bam, I don't think cares if he scores, whatever. Like, he has everyone bought into that system. And when we go on these, like, when we have this whole entire Kemba holding the ball for 20 seconds, Jason holding the ball for 20 seconds, hero ball BS, I don't think Brad is calling that play, because I think Brad is too smart to think that kind of basketball is sustainable for us, at least. Which means that these players aren't listening. That's what concerns me more than anything about Brad, because that's the one thing that when he got hired, the one thing you're worried about is, like, is he gonna have any authority? Are players gonna respect this man who looks like an elf from Butler?
You do hear him mic'd up, and him mic'd up is just like, stay calm, play defense, don't take possessions off. It's the same tone of voice, and I can see how, like, you're trying to get motivated at the end of a game, and it's just the same, like switch on defense. Like, yes, Brad.
What do you think he was doing in the locker room when Marcus Smart was losing his shit?
Well, that's fair. I can't picture him there, but I will say that every halftime we come out of looking a little better, timeouts we come out of looking a little better. I think that Brad is still the guy, and this team, this team trusts him. Like, they love him, and I think that if he has, like, he's a chess master. He's playing with these pieces. If Al Horford doesn't make a horrible career choice, we're sitting in the finals. We had solution for Bam. I don't know what we would have done about Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard. But I just wanted to get to the finals. We didn't make it. I will say one more thing. I know, like the Celtics, I think that we need to, like, replace Brad Wanamaker as our first man off the bench. I think that, like, Romeo Langford, like, really let us down in getting injured all those times. We need, like, a 3-and-D guy off the bench for sure. Maybe we trade Hayward for some depth. But the refs in this series, I know it's the refs and it's the Celtics, and everyone says we complain too much, but, like, I hope basketball fans are starting to see that, like, we just need a better quality referee.
Yeah, like, that's the thing I hate, is that people are like, oh man, like, you're just complaining because they're calling. No, it's I demand a fair contest. I don't care who's playing. I just don't want games to be ruined. I don't want the referees to play a factor in what is happening on the court. And
all of our guys were in foul trouble by the end of the game. Tice fouled out with, like, 5 minutes left, which was absurd, because at least his 6th foul was not a foul at all. He's not even contesting shots.
He doesn't
anymore.
Get a call. He never gets a call.
The real call that I'm pissed about is the Celtics went up 6. I don't know if you remember, with, like, 7 minutes left in the game, and then Jaylen Brown on the dunk gets clipped by Jimmy Butler, who has no shot at making a play. Gets clipped. Almost gets hurt, like, he's limping on the ground, and then we have to have, like, a huge stoppage, timeout, commercial break, and from that point on, they went on a 26-6 run. So we get an and one dunk off of like a 8-0 run, or we don't get the call and Jaylen Brown's hurt, and now we're stopping for 5 minutes. And I think that was the turning point in the game, and it was caused by the referee. I know the referees don't rig the games, but they absolutely have a stranglehold on momentum, and they can switch it whatever they want.
Yeah, no, it's naive to say that there's no, like, huge, like, momentum in basketball. Why do you think Jeff Van Gundy, who, by the way, my favorite NBA commentator, I think he speaks the truth, that guy, whenever something like this happens, you, like, whether it's a 5-minute review on something that's is flagrant, or, is intentionally trying to hurt someone, he always says, why we wasted 7 minutes of our lives, is what, like, the momentum of the game has just died. And it's not the fact that it's favoring each other. It's the fact that it's inorganic. You're taking the basketball away from the basketball game. Because, like, this is not how the game is supposed to be played. This flow of the game, that's why we love basketball. It's a game of runs. It's the ebbs and flows of the game. And you're just stopping that dead in its tracks. It's naive to say that it doesn't have any effect. Now, I want to look forward, because the season's over, regardless of what we could have done, and I do think we would have had a better chance against the Lakers, because we have way more guys to throw at LeBron. We need to, like, where do we go from here? Because I don't think this team goes into next season thinking that. I mean, I guess they might think that they can win out the East, but I don't think so.
That's what I said. I think they need a stretch 5 that can rebound. I want to prioritize rebounding over scoring. I want a good rebounder who is good enough at defense and shooting to be on the floor. Think Daniel Tice, but, like, a step above.
You mean Aaron
Baines? A little bit worse of a shoot. I mean Aaron Baines. Like, Al Horford honestly fits it well. He's not a great rebounder, but just, like, someone you can throw out there, like, Grant Williams, hopefully he can develop into that. I think that he can. But we just need a guy to play at the 5 who isn't a small forward.
Yeah, I just think we need some height or some. Yeah, we need like physicality down there. Like you can see in the playoffs, even, like this playoffs is a great example. When we were more physical, there was more heart out there. We're out rebounding teams. If we have more shots, like we're so talented offensively that if we out rebound the other team, it's really hard to beat us. No matter who you are, even if you're the Lakers, even if you're the Clippers, we have so many shot makers on our team that if we take more shots than you, if we out rebound you, like it's really hard to win. Like that's our strength. Is there's the bevy of offensive talent we have. We just don't have that advantage as much as we should. Like we don't have that rebounding advantage, and I think we need that physical person. I think Rob Will can develop into something similar to that, but he even him like is a little undersized. Like I understand this way the basketball.
He's just a little dumb. That's all.
He definitely needs to learn how to play basketball a little bit, but I think that's what we need is that physical force down low that Tice has never been. That guy gets dominated by every person taller than him, and he's 6'8".
Yeah.
But before I go on a rant about Tice, I mean we got to give credit where credit's due. The Heat were the better team this series, and I do think that they're not getting the respect that they deserve going against this Lakers team. I think it's going to be a series, in my opinion. I don't know about you. You might think it's a sweep.
They beat the Bucks and they beat us. So, credit where it's due. I think the Lakers sweep them. I don't
really?
Like people are calling them like the dynasty buster or like the super team buster, like their zone defense and all these shooters and stuff. But I think LeBron James won a championship 2 nights ago. I think maybe he actually won it. Well, I think that Frank Vogel, his best move as a coach, has been telling the league that LeBron isn't getting foul calls because that kind of got them to a win in game 4.
Yeah, there was a lot of noise made about that. But coaches do that all the time, whether it's a press conference or something. I know they send a tape, which is pretty blatant, but
I think that we built our team to be a team like the Lakers, where like we have all these shooters and stuff, and the Heat are similar to that. But the Lakers are built to beat a team like the Heat, where okay, you got Bam. Okay, well, first like we could just throw LeBron out there, and LeBron is already better than Bam. We've also got Anthony Davis, who's way better, and then if we really feel like it, we have Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee. Like the whole inside presence that the Heat had, the huge advantage over us, gone. They're gonna have to outshoot the Lakers, which I'm sure they'll do. But I just think that LeBron, after all these years of the freaking Spurs and the Warriors, and now he has Anthony Davis, and he's playing the Jimmy Butler-led Miami Heat. If LeBron fumbles this, like it's over for him, and he knows that, and he's not going to fumble it.
I think the Lakers are going to win this series, obviously, but I don't know. This Heat team reminds me a lot of old Spurs teams. The way that they move the ball, the way that they're not going to beat you by being more talented. Like they know damn well that. I was talking to my friend though about this the other day. The Celtics were the most talented team in the East. There wasn't any debating that. Like on paper, it's shameful that we lost to this Heat team. It's really shameful. But this Heat team doesn't care about. They're not going into the series of the Lakers and saying like we're going to out-talent them because we have better shot makers, we have better whatever. No, they're just so bought into, and a team that buys into a system is dangerous. Whether it be the Mavs, whether it be the Spurs, teams that trust each other, that commit to the system. It's not. You might be able to win the series, but you're not gonna. It's really hard to sweep a team like that is so consistent in what they do.
I am still bitter because the wound is still very fresh, but the Heat are like, it's a pleasure to watch the Heat because you're right. Like you have like a team of guys like the Celtics a couple years ago, when you have like Terry and Smart and like rookie Tatum, and they're just like, we're going to give it everything we have. Like we believe we can beat all these teams. We're the underdog. The Heat, like guys 1 through 8 are like, I'm going to die for the ball. Like I'm going to play hard. And I think it's the bubble setting that they're thriving in where like no fans, like we're just 10 guys on a court, like without all the outside factors, like we can just like play a zone, like do like pull these tricks and like we can beat teams. And I like at the beginning of the bubble was like, all right, like if like the Heat go to the finals, then maybe the bubble has an effect. And they beat my team, so I can't like take it away from them. But I think that them having a neutral court and getting to just play basketball is serving them well. No fans to rally
I think
their
so
team.
too. But I think their home court was definitely. They were good at home, and I think like
they were bad on the road.
I just think that it's more about them. It kind of reminds me of Leo and Brad Pitt and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Who's the main guy? Neither of them care. They played off each other. They don't care who's the star of the movie, of this 3-hour movie. Like they just played off each other, and that's why the movie was good. Was that no one was stepping on each other's toes. Nobody was like, no, I'm the star. I need to have the bigger what is. It was just it flowed, and that's why the friendship in that movie felt so natural. And that's when I watch the Heat play, it just like that's what I kind of see. When I watch the Celtics play, it's just like who's fighting to have the spot, like who wants to show up in that big moment the most is more what I'm seeing. It's like an opera. It's like someone fighting for like the spotlight. They want to have their solo, and the hard truth of it is that once you have too many of these guys, that starts to make less and less sense. Like you saw with the Warriors. Imagine the Warriors with KD just holding the ball for 20 seconds. Like,
well, that's yeah, exactly. The Warriors played an offense where they had the 3 guys, but they like could share the ball like fluidly, and they were all getting the shots. And the Celtics need to run an offense like that, except that Steph, KD, and Clay don't miss from 3, and we miss from 3 a lot. If we run the Warriors offense and it's just like Kemba and like Tatum, like they miss so many threes. And so we really need to get to the basket, but like we're not playing like Warriors basketball, like which I think we need to a little, where our guys are just going ISO, and like there's a version of our team where all of those guys get all of their shots and play perfectly. And that version of the team is not when they just get like 15 seconds to each take turns. Like Jaylen Brown shot over 50% in most of these games. But he's only getting the ball like for a couple seconds, like when it's his turn. And the rest of the time it's Kemba or Tatum just like, what can I do here? Let me get hot. And if one of them gets hot, we win the game. But if one of them doesn't get hot, then no one else has a chance to.
And that's a playoff atmosphere. It's harder to get hot, and that's why I feel bad for Jaylen Brown. He got little broed. He got little broed this series. They definitely pushed him to the side, even though he was probably the most consistent guy. Might I like? Is it bad to say that? Because I know Tatum. It's so funny how Tatum could have 30 points, and you're just like, I don't think he played that well. Like, especially down the stretch.
Tatum didn't take the next step, unfortunately.
I don't think he did. I don't think he
took the next step during the regular season and did not like become like if he brought us to the finals, he'd be like a top 10 player.
Yeah,
but he didn't.
So, but finals. Let's focus on what we think this is going to be. I think Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler is a good enough defender to slow down LeBron. And the thing about this Lakers team, I think people forget, because AD is so good, but the Lakers don't win games because of AD. Like AD, even if AD scores 45 points, it's just like you saw that with the Pelicans. If AD goes off, and so be it. But what puts you over that edge, especially in the playoffs, especially in the finals, is somebody who establishes the pace of the game for almost like both teams. Like he is the say-all end-all of how this game will be played, and that is LeBron. Like, and I think that if you can stop him, if you can slow him down, and we saw that a little bit in the early games with the Nuggets with Jeremy Grant, or call it Daniel House before he decided to have a good time. Like, it really affects the Lakers when LeBron isn't establishing like the whole pace and whatnot. I don't know if you agree, but I think that if you slow him down, I think you have a chance to edge out a couple of games.
I think that honestly, like LeBron is LeBron, but if the Lakers didn't have Rondo, I'd be more down for this Heat team. But the Heat were like bigger than the Celtics. Like the Celtics played small to match the Heat, but the Heat just like they have got Iguodala and Crowder, and like Goran is taller than Smart and Kemba, and they just have like long guys. And so the Celtics, like they played small, and now Kemba and Jalen are getting pushed around. And I think the Lakers are a much bigger team. I think that Rondo is going to like play good defense on Dragic, and Danny Green is going to play good defense on Hero or whoever. Like I think that they can close out shooters and play like as smart, as much hustle, because the Lakers are a team. Like they love each other, they get hyped for each other. They're like a team. Like you, JaVale.
They were a team.
JaVale at the beginning of that Nuggets game was like diving on the floor, like he was like screaming at the opening tip. Like he played like 5 minutes, but JaVale's out there screaming on the floor. They're in it.
No, I just think that, like, you're right. They are bought into what they do. They know that LeBron and AD are the guys, and the role players are completely okay with it. And you could argue that that's because of the likability and like is Caruso gonna say no? Give me my fair shots? Like, no, but that's the thing, is that I think they understand that AD is their physical presence, is their primary scorer. The LeBron is controlling this team, whether you like him or not. LeBron is the friend that makes the plans. Even if you don't like him, even if like he's annoying or like he complains too much, he makes everything happen. So you have to respect that. You have to keep that around and understand that that's how this whole entire thing is happening. It's rare that players get that respect, and obviously LeBron is in his own category, so I think he gets that respect as much as he should. But just that alone, I think it's their biggest strength, but also it could be their biggest weakness with somebody like I'm envisioning like Bam and Jimmy Butler taking turns guarding LeBron, and that being not the easiest thing for LeBron to get around. And especially when they start running zone, like, and you got to move the ball and trust each other. If you're relying on two guys, that's the zone. The zone makes you rely on everybody. So we'll see what happens.
I think with an inside presence, the zone is going to not work as well. I think that when you run a zone and like the guy down low comes to help the guy driving in, and then the guy can just dish to Anthony Davis instead of Grant Williams, he's going to finish. So I think the zone's going to fall apart.
Yeah. If you like,
I think that you have got Rondo and LeBron are going to move like they're going to. LeBron and Rondo can beat a zone. The Celtics couldn't, but LeBron and Rondo can definitely beat a zone defense. LeBron will not fall to the zone. That's my one guarantee for this finals. Okay. The Warriors, the Spurs, not a zone defense.
All right, final thought on basketball. You replace Kemba with Rondo. Do we win against the Heat?
No. Not good enough shooter.
Yeah, okay. I can tell when you're lying. All right. So now let's move to football. It's weird because we did have a positive test with the Falcons, yeah. I really thought this was gonna go more poorly than it's going so far. I'll give credit where credit's due. We rip on Roger Goodell a lot, and rightly so. But I've really been enjoying the football season. Maybe it's because the Steelers are 3-0, but I think it's been great. It's been great. Like, I'm really happy the season's happening right now.
Yeah, did you watch the Packers at all last night? The Packers Saints. It was a really good game.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, like, people are putting like Lamar, Mahomes, and Wilson as their top three quarterbacks. I still have Rodgers like at 1 or 2 or 3.
I agree.
Rodgers last night in the empty stadium won the game on a hard count. He drew the Saints off sides on like a 4th down from just a hard count because the stadium's so quiet that you see Rodgers going head, jumped off sides, won the game.
Smart.
And that is like, you know, like you got to use it to your advantage. These empty stadiums, no fans. Like I think it was cool to watch him win a game that way.
No, 103. Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show, and he was just talking about how he's made changes to his life, and he just loves life again. He loves football again. He's high-fiving guys on the team, like on the sideline. It seems like he's really like enjoying himself, whereas the last few seasons he was just kind of living in toil in Green Bay. Even getting to one game away from the Super Bowl last year, it just seemed like it was almost begrudgingly so, you know? And no one doubts, like, I guess, like his talent alone. I don't see a reason why to say that, like, he is worse throwing the ball down the field than Mahomes. He is less mobile than Mahomes.
It's beautiful. He's just like little sidearm off the back foot, and it's beautiful.
I see, like, because Mahomes is a generational talent, and he is, in my opinion, he's going to be LeBron of football. But if he's LeBron of football, I think Aaron Rodgers might be like that 2008 Kobe, where you're just like, hold on, you know, like LeBron is the most talented guy, but this guy's still here, and this guy has so much fight left in him where you can't ignore his like you said, he finds ways to win. He's a winner. This guy has dealt with, he's made chicken salad out of chicken shit in Green Bay for years, and he is that guy in that aspect. But that's why I say, like, let's pump the brakes on the whole entire. Mahomes is the undisputed best quarterback in the league when you have guys like Aaron Rodgers still. That if I'm not, I don't want to play I know I hate when people were like, you give Aaron Rodgers his weapons and his team, but seriously, if you make that Aaron Rodgers and the Chiefs comparison, I think he wins that Super Bowl, and I think he's in the exact same place.
Yeah, I think that it was a little bit insulting that they drafted Jordan Love in the first round when they can be contending, but the Packers look good. The Steelers, I guess, are going to be good.
Yeah, it's this weird thing of like this is classic Steelers where for like a whole half of basketball, a whole half of football, you just look at them and say like, what the hell? Like, I thought this team was supposed to be good. And this, I don't know if you watched this Texans game, perfect example. First half, the defense is all over the place. Deshaun Watson's balling, and their first couple drives look terrible on offense, and we kind of get it together later in the half. And then we come out in the second half, and we don't allow another point at all. For the whole entire second half, Deshaun Watson looks lost out there, and our offense is still is connecting with, like, as the game goes on, we're adapting, and it's just, but at the same time, you're like, all right, well, I think they should have won by more. And why isn't this team consistent? Why isn't this team playing for 4 quarters? It's frustrating, but I do think we have a lot of potential this year.
I started Deshaun Watson in fantasy, kept Ben on the bench, and I'm going to probably have to amend that going forward. Yeah, the Steelers 3-0, I did not expect. I think that what you just said, like, if they aren't playing 4 quarters every game, they're not going to keep winning, but I think that somehow, like, you lose Antonio, you lose Le'Veon, and you're still just like the same team.
We got wet. Like, I think we have Deontay Johnson. You got a concussion. Prayers up. Hopefully he's good. But Juju I think he can be that number 1 guy. And we saw yesterday with Ebron and Vance McDonald. It's kind of this like, it's like the Walmart version of Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, where you're just like, you got these dual tight ends that. If now it opens up, like, if you have the talented receivers and you've opened up the middle, now you have 2 talented guys that can run whatever cross routes, is anything, and it just makes Ben's job so much easier, and it also makes the running game more dangerous. It keeps you on your toes. So I'm excited. I think this team. Are we gonna, like, can we beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? I think is the question for every AFC team. Are you good enough to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? Because nothing matters unless you're good enough to do that. And apparently Herbert and the Chargers put up some bit of a fight, but I don't think that right now. I look at the AFC and I don't know. I don't see, until I see a real challenger in the AFC. I'm really gonna pump the brakes on any kind of the Chiefs are not going to go to the Super Bowl talk, because as much as I like to say, like, Mahomes might not be maybe Aaron Rodgers, he's still fucking good, and this team is dirty. Like,
I want to gauge how high you are on the Steelers by comparing them to the other 3-0 teams. Okay, so the Bills are 3-0. Bills are Steelers.
Yeah. Steelers for sure.
Yeah, I also, Josh Allen, everyone's going crazy. I hated on him a lot, and maybe
You did hate on him a lot.
Maybe he earns a little bit of respect, but he beat the Dolphins and he beat the Jets. Like, 2 of those 3 games.
He beat the Rams. Okay, but you did call him a poor man's Colin Kaepernick. You did. We can play the tape back. I
100% did, and maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'd like to see him against a real defense before we go around saying he's the next guy.
I agree.
All right, next up, Titans or Steelers?
I think us for sure. I don't know if you watched the Titans game this Sunday. That was pretty much nothing short of a miracle. Like, a 55-yard game winner by Gostowski is as much as, like, maybe we shouldn't have won that game. Their defense is really good, and it showed up in that last drive. Kirk Cousins wasn't going to drive that ball down the field, though, and I think the Vikings are in a lot of trouble. So I don't know. I think the Titans are a good 3-0 team, but I think we're more talented.
I believe in Tannehill. All right, now getting into it. The Packers and the Steelers.
Packers. I think the Packers just play more consistently, and they got the better quarterback.
2 teams left. The Bears or the Steelers. The Bears switched from Mitch to
to Nick
Foles?
It was Nick Foles, and I think Nick Foles, I'm a huge Nick Foles fan. A huge Nick Foles guy. I think
very good defense.
I think him put into the right system. I mean, we saw, like, I know it was a long time ago. I remember that one Eagles year where he had
Yep.
He had like 3 interceptions or something the entire year. He was
very good.
He looked really sharp, and he has the clutch gene. We all know Big Dick Nick. He is that guy. I still think the Steelers are a little better. I do think our defense, it comes down to our defense, I think is comparable. I think we have a comparable defense to the Bears on our best day. And I think that our offense is, I think you'd have to give us the edge. I think we have more consistency, and not only in our running game too. We have 3 backs who could be the primary back on any given day. So I don't think you can say that about the Bears.
Last team undefeated still, except for the Chiefs and Ravens, who are going to play tonight, is the Seahawks.
Seahawks for sure. Dude, Russell Wilson, I think we should talk about Russell Wilson, because not that he doesn't get the respect, because he does, but his defense has been terrible so far this season. And
Jamal Adams has been cool for them.
I mean,
he's hurt though.
He got knocked out of the game. He got knocked out of the game last game, but Russell Wilson, I want to bite my tongue, but I think that he's not as good as Mahomes. But I think when you're talking about wins over replacement, win shares, whatever, plus minus, whatever you want to call it, I think he has to be at the top.
I was talking about this the other day. I agree, because I was like trying to compare him to Rodgers, and I was like, Rodgers has the golden arm, and I don't think Mahomes or Wilson does. But Wilson, like, isn't Lamar Jackson, but he creates so much time in the pocket where he's like shuffling around, moving around, and he finds the open guy. I think that just his mentals, his like pocket awareness and mobility, and then passing to just the right receiver, like not throwing stupid passes, like he's like physically, maybe like he's 5'11", whatever. He's not as good as some other guys, but like his mentals, like he is a top quarterback for sure.
Yeah. He has this ability just to carry teams in situations where I don't think any other quarterback is winning games in certain situations where he has won. Like, I don't know what it is. You call it intangibles. I think he's just, in my opinion, I think he's just the best athlete in football. I think he, like you said, buying time in the pocket, extending plays. I think ever since he threw that interception on the goal line to Malcolm Butler, I think, like, I don't know if that moment changed him or something, but he's had such a killer instinct ever since then. And I think it's half the Seahawks buying into him. They don't run the ball anymore. Like they used to be a ground and pound football team. They've given him the reins. Like he is their offense now. And I think that gives him the confidence, but also his development over the last like 4 years. I don't think we're realizing it now, but when it's all said and done, he might go down as, you know, one of the best quarterbacks of the 2000s, like top 3, top 5, like kind of caliber quarterback.
I think it's pretty well known, but he's pretty religious. I remember after that Super Bowl, he was like, he threw that interception. It was the worst moment of his life. And he was like, God said, like, this is a test. And he said, I've taken that as I'm being tested. And the last 4 years on a mission from God, trying to just get back to that Super Bowl. And
I mean, he's definitely blessed now.
His Tim Tebow arc.
Yeah, the Tim Tebow arc for sure. He's definitely blessed now. He definitely has. I'll say it again. It's just an uncanny ability to win. And I think that in football, where you have 16 games, where you have playoff games, or just it's win or lose, win or go home. Like, you don't have 7-game series. Like, that is such a valuable asset. And if I'm anyone in the NFC, like, no matter who you are, if you're the Packers, if you're Saints, anybody, which we could talk about the Saints in a sec, but you're worried about seeing Russell in the playoffs. Like, just because he's a guy who's going to will his team, and you're gonna have to play some perfect football to keep him at bay. Now, that used to be, I think, said of the Saints in the way that I think they've gone screwed by like bad calls or just, you know, the Minnesota Miracle and whatnot. But Drew Brees doesn't look like he can throw a ball more than 10 yards right now. And I'm a little concerned. Michael Thomas is out. I know that's huge, but like, I don't know where the Saints team goes from here. I don't know, because their division, which has been so habitually bad, is no longer that habitually bad division. Like, they can very well miss the playoffs.
I blame the defense more than Drew Brees. Like, their backup is Winston, and I'm not ready to throw Jameis Winston over Drew Brees yet. Alvin Kamara had 200 scrimmage yards last night and 2 touchdowns, and they lost the game. And I put that on the defense giving up. It's Aaron Rodgers, but like you're giving up 37 points or whatever. It's hard to win football games that way. And they're 2-1, right? They're 2 or they're 1-2.
No, they're 1-2.
They're 1-2, and they're behind Brady and the Bucks. So I see that they have a hard path to the playoffs, but I still believe in that team and the talent they have. I don't know. Maybe the Bucks do get the division though.
I think the Bucks get the division, but I think that it's concerning seeing Breeze not being, because Breeze is a surgical. He's probably, when you say like most accurate quarterbacks in the league, like his name is always up there. And if his arm isn't there, he's a pocket quarterback. He's not, it's not like Lamar where you're just like, okay, his arm doesn't look that great today, but he's going to make plays and whatnot. He won't. And the Saints' expectations are not like, let's be 8-8 or let's win more games than we're going to lose. It's let's go back to the Super Bowl. And that's why Drew Brees came back. That's why he didn't retire. And I don't know, like it's 3 games and we'll see what happens. But I think right now you have to say it's not trending in a great direction. I think a more interesting team to talk about in the NFC, I really want to talk about this Eagles team. I want to talk about the Eagles because I don't know what the hell is going on. And Carson Wentz looks straight up bad.
Carson Wentz is very bad. Not good.
Is he bad though? Like that's the thing is like he's shown ability in the past to be nothing short. His ceiling is top 5 quarterback. That's his ceiling. Yeah. And he has, since that season where he was showing that and tears his ACL, he hasn't even come close to that kind of performance. But truth be told, it's his decision making. It's not his ability. He wants to make that game-winning play every play. I can see he holds the ball in the pocket way too long. He's getting sacked. And I don't think he's listening to his coaching staff. I don't think he's I think there's some internal problems, obviously. I mean, if you tie against the Bengals and you lose the other 2 games, there's definitely something going wrong. But it's like, seriously, like what happened to Carson Wentz? Like, are we going to see Jalen Hurts this year? Like, I think these are valid questions from a team that's a few years outside of winning the Super Bowl. It's crazy to see the decline of Carson. I don't know. Is it over? Like, are you starting Jalen? If you're Doug Peterson, you starting Jalen Hurts?
I've heard my roommates barking for Jalen Hurts. I'm not there yet. It is like Carson Wentz. Think about it. Like he was like basically MVP that year that won the Super Bowl, and he got hurt like 2 games short. And then Nick Foles comes in and wins it for him. And Nick Foles is the folk hero in Philly. Like no one is like Carson Wentz never buys a drink in this city again. Like that's Nick Foles. Carson Wentz still has a lot to prove, even though like he got them to the goal line of the Super Bowl. And and ever since it did not look pretty. I don't know if Jalen Hurts can play football in the NFL. That's why I'm going to go with Carson. But that also because they're 0-2-1 and they're a half a game out of first in the division. That division sucks. And so I would stick with the guy that can be a franchise QB when I'm half a game out behind the Washington football team.
No, that is true. That anyone can win that division at any given. You can win 6 games in that division. I think you have a solid chance. I think the Cowboys looked pretty good yesterday, despite losing. I'm not gonna lie. I think they showed up in a way I didn't think they were. They were like one Russell Wilson drive away from winning that game, which I think is impressive. But yeah, man, this Eagles team, I don't know where they go from here, and it's just looking like. Whether or not Jalen Hurts can play, I think he's going to play. And I don't know if you believe this whole entire, like, his confidence, like Carson Wentz's confidence was shot when Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. I don't think I believe that, but there's definitely something going on. I don't want to end this football talk before talking about your Dolphins because I think if you gave me the credit of talking about the Steelers. I think your Dolphins. Everyone counts out Fitzpatrick, and I want to talk about him because I think he's a gem.
I think that he's a starting quarterback for sure. Like he makes good decisions. I think he's the perfect guy to have over Tua while Tua's developing because he'll play well enough that we can run an offense and we kick the Jaguars' ass. Like we showed that we're not a joke of a team like we were at the beginning of last year. So he's good enough to like we blew out that team. We're gonna win some games. But he's not good enough that we're going to go to the playoffs, I don't think. So we'll get another good draft pick, and then we'll bring in Tua to to be the guy. So he's good enough to be a mentor and to be a leader. The guys on the team love him. He's fun to watch. It'd be super cool if we can win 10 games this year, but I'm not like going out on that limb. I think that we're going to go.
What changed between our season, when we did our season like preview?
If you remember, I never gave us like we're going to the playoffs because I wasn't sure what this year was. I wasn't sure if last year was a tank and then this year was like, all right, now we're going to try and win, or we have another 13 picks in this draft. I kind of wasn't sure if like, are we going to throw Tua out there? Are we going to go all in to make the playoffs this year? And I don't think we are. I think that we have another year in front of us because we have cut all of our, like, Fitzpatrick is the oldest player on this team by like 10 years. He's the only player on this team over the age of 30. So we have been really like trying to go younger. We have not spent money on free agents at all. I think that next season we have a ton of cap space that we just left open for this year. I think that next year when we have all these draft picks and Tua, we go spend some money on some guys. And I think this is another year to just try and get better. Again, if we win 10 games, I'd love it, but I'm not seeing it.
I mean, yeah, I think the Bills are probably a little better than you give them credit for. I think that.
I think the Patriots, I always knew we're going to. I still think it's going to be the Patriots.
Well, it's funny. Their defense isn't great. And I know they have so many holdouts on their defense, and that's the reason.
They're a well-coached football team.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, is that it's like you have, again, Bill Belichick, praise to him, literally just can take all the puzzle fits that aren't supposed to fit together and make them fit together. Like and I think Cam Newton, I mean, he's a guy not playing for glory anymore. He's just playing to win, and I think that's a really. I think the renaissance of Cam Newton is something to be celebrated.
He's just like plugged into their offense. He had 167 passing yards, a touchdown, an interception, and like 27 rush yards yesterday. He did not have a statistically great game, but their offense controlled the game because he's just like doing what their offense is supposed to. Like they're running the plays and he's throwing the short passes. Like he fits well for them. And I think that's how the Patriots win. They're not going to like entertain you very much, but they're going to like just keep scoring touchdowns and getting stops because they're a very well-coached football team. And I think even if it was Jarrett Stidham, they'd be winning games. Like I think Jarrett Stidham could have got them to 9-7.
That is bold. That's a bold statement.
I think you can plug any quarterback. Remember when Jacoby Brissett came in? They're still beating teams.
I mean, yeah. So Bill Belichick is going to find a way to win with any quarterback, whether it's Matt Castle or Jimmy G. But I think that Cam Newton is actually the perfect quarterback for what they're doing. And I think that's by design, obviously. But I think that like in this dual threat league where, you know, you want to have a guy who can run, you want a guy who can pass. And I'm not going to buy into this. People are saying there's a renaissance happening. We're one Lamar Jackson getting knocked out of the game from this for us being like, oh yeah, we forgot. This puts your quarterback at such a higher risk. Like
Cam does not take contact anymore.
Well,
he slides every play.
Yeah, that's why I want to say he's different. I think that the way that it's like it's ground and pound almost. Even on passing plays, it just feels ground and pound. And I think this is the new gen. Like if you want to say a new gen, I think the new gen is going to be these middle tier teams that don't have a Lamar Jackson, that don't have a Josh Allen, that you're just going to have a guy like Cam be this, like, again, 150 yards, 50 rush yards, nothing crazy, you know, nothing dazzling, nothing like that. But you're going to win football games just by having a variance in your play calling. I think that might be more the future, especially because it's not about these. If you have Lamar Jackson, you're going to win. But if it's more about these middle tier teams trying to find a way to scrap these 9-win, 10-win seasons, I think that's more the future. Now, speaking of the future, just the last thing I want to end off. I kind of want to end off every little one of these episodes with something looking forward. And my topic for looking forward is Steve Nash. I want to talk quickly about Steve Nash and what kind of job you think he's going to do. I think people are underestimating how hard it's going to be to manage Kyrie and KD. And especially when you have guys like Dinwiddie, LeVert. These guys, you know, there's so much talent on this team. The vitriol that's going to happen if this team starts off 15-20 is is gonna be like unparalleled. This is big 3 Heat implications.
Steve Nash has to like be able to yell at Kyrie and put him in check. Like he can't be his friend. He needs to be able to be like, Kyrie, do this thing. Like, don't clown around. And like, I don't know. I see too much of a peer for them to like be afraid of him in that way. Maybe he's a peer. They respect him so much that they're going to fall to what he says. I don't know. He also is like, again, like he helped coach the Warriors. Like, I think a problem on that team that I'm foreseeing is like Kyrie and KD like being like ostracized by the rest of the guys who like had a good crew, and then these 2 guys come in and we're like, no, this is like our turn. Like, you guys don't get to shoot anymore. And if Steve Nash like is like, oh, KD's my buddy, and Karis LeVert is like, I'm a bucket, then I think that could be a problem. But I think that Steve Nash is a really smart guy and is probably going to handle it really well.
Well, like, I think a bigger question is, what is this offense going to look like? Like, is it going to look like the Warriors? Is it going to look like the Celtics, where when they start panicking, they just start taking turns? I think that's a real question. I don't think KD wants to play in a Warriors offense anymore. I think that's why he left. So, and I don't think Kyrie works in that either.
I think that almost as big of a question as what their offense is going to look like is, what is their defense going to look like? Because Kyrie Irving doesn't play defense. Kevin Durant doesn't play defense. Karis LeVert plays some defense. But I think that if you throw out Dinwiddie, Kyrie, LeVert, KD, they're not going to like lock up guys. Like, they're going to be buckets, but they're not going to be locking up. I think KD
can play defense when he wants to, which is never in the regular season. But
I think he's going to play some center, like they said. Steve Nash said that, and I think that like he does get a lot of blocks, but I think him having the Achilles and him being 100 pounds, I think that demanding a lot from him on defense is not going to go great.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jared Allen's going to play a big role. I think he's so underrated, and I think he's going to play a bigger role than people think, even with all these all-stars. But I hope the best for Steve Nash. I think people clown him for being 1 year out of just commentating soccer and just being like a stay-at-home dad. But I really hope this whole thing works out, because I think it's one of those. This is a situation coated in gasoline. It can all go up in flames so quickly. So hope the best. Is there anything you're looking forward to? If
I gotta put something down and we're allowed to say next season, I am looking forward to see how LeBron handles trying to repeat as a Finals champion next year after he wins this week. Because I think that the storyline of LeBron's career, I'm fascinated by. He's got the 3 rings. This 4th one, he's at the center of a pandemic, the social justice movement. He's going to win a championship. The LeBron documentary is getting some good stuff right now. But then next year they're going to come back, and they're going to be back in stadiums. Basketball's back. And it's like, okay, LeBron won in the bubble. Can LeBron repeat with this team? Now everyone's even playing field. He's probably going to have to play the Clippers. He's probably going to have to play the Bucks, the Nets, the Celtics. Like, next year it's going to be like, all right, he won in the bubble. Okay. But if LeBron can win next year, I think that even though it's 5, not 6, if LeBron wins next year, I think that is the catapult. Like, that's the finish line.
Jordan
if he wins
status.
next year, if he wins this year and he wins next year, repeats, I think that's the finish line to catch Jordan.
You think AD is, in my opinion, because people will talk about AD wanting to go to the Bulls and going back home. I think there's such a better chance of that happening if they win. Like, if AD gets his chip and he does what he promised LeBron that he would do, is help him win a title, I think that departure is just so much more likely, and I think it's such a hit. But that aside, like, so LeBron wins, let's say he repeats, and we'll end it on this. But do you think the Lakers is going to be his last destination?
I think so. I think it makes sense, because I think Anthony Davis has said, like, yeah, I'll be a Laker for life. Like, I don't think he meant that, like, people took it as, but he was like, yeah, like, this is a cool place. Like, I'm down with this. I think that LeBron will be there. I think that AD will be there to the end of LeBron's career, and LeBron will be as well. And to note, they have a max contract spot left. So they could win this year, and they can go get Chris Paul or another guy. Just another guy.
The funny thing about Chris Paul is that every time somebody mentions they can get Chris Paul, I'm always like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Like, I don't know why. I'm always just on board with Chris Paul going to any team. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, Chris Paul, like, throw him in there.
No, and having won, LeBron can build whatever super team he wants, because having won already, he's like, well, I won with this with fucking Rondo and Caruso. I can win with Chris Paul. I'm allowed to.
That's true. Well, I do really hope he doesn't choke at all this finals. That'd be pretty devastating for his
Jimmy
legacy.
Butler wins, it's over for that guy.
It's super over for the guy because we were concerned about Kawhi beating him, but if Jimmy Butler beats him with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, they graduated high school the same year as us. So, yeah, if that team beats us, like, well, I don't even want to talk about it. It's putting shivers down my spine. But all right, I think that was good. That was our first episode of Zoom or Zoomer reactions. It was great talking to you, Dylan. Hopefully, next episode we'll have better news to share about the Celtics. Maybe it's a firing, maybe it's a hiring, maybe it's something else like that. But join us next time and take care, everyone.